there has been a lot going on with the Trump administration's ongoing efforts to engage in enforcement against the immigrant community, and also especially with you know those who are applying for asylum and deportation. Um, Earlier this week, CNN wrote an article about Trump directing the Immigration Service to basically do away with most asylum applications that were filed for people who entered the United States without a visa. So what he's told the government is to, rather than schedule them for an asylum interview, to just dismiss the asylum applications and to put individuals straight into deportation proceedings. So ever since that article came out 2 days ago, this kind of has set like a lot of immigration lawyers and clients into panic mode because this is the first time anything like this has ever been done. The usual process for asylum applications is that if you file an asylum application, then USCIS Asylum Office would schedule you for an interview so that you can present your case. Um, the problem with asylum applications is that there are so many that are pending that the government is facing these tremendous backlogs. So it's gotten to the point where you are waiting 9 years or longer just to get an interview. We're not even talking about getting a decision. That's how long the government is taking. So a lot of people have been waiting and waiting patiently for years. For my clients that I filed asylum, I'm only starting to get interview scheduled for clients who filed at least 9 years ago. So just to give you this kind of backdrop, this is what's been going on. So right now, for the current administration to just kind of pull the rug underneath everyone and say, you know what, forget it. We don't care that you filed for asylum and you've been waiting. We're just going to dismiss these cases and we're going to immediately put you into deportation proceedings. That just seems like, um, it does not seem right to me, right? I mean, that usually, if you prove that you're eligible for asylum, then the asylum office should approve your application. You become an asylee. After waiting a year, you can then apply for a green card. But now, all of a sudden, everyone who has filed, and if they did not enter with their, own visa, let's say if they entered without inspection, then now all of a sudden they won't get the chance to have a regular asylum interview. Instead, they're going to be told you are now being placed into deportation proceedings. It's very scary. Um, and we all know what's going on in immigration court now. So ICE has been hanging out in the courtrooms and they are, picking up, detaining individuals who, um, basically are subject to Trump's expanded expedited removal. This has caused a lot of fear and panic in the community. And, you know, I don't really know if the one of the effects of this is that people are not showing up to their court dates. Is that something that the government wants, right? Even if they had a strong or viable claim to relief from deportation, the fear that you might get picked up before your case is even heard by your judge, that's going to prevent a lot of people from seeking any applications for relief that they're entitled to. So that's something that happened this week. Um, Another thing is that the Supreme Court just issued a decision regarding Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship. And although the Supreme Court didn't exactly rule on whether or not Trump can do this, end birthright citizenship, they basically said in a decision that federal district courts cannot issue nationwide injunctions against the government's attempts. So a nationwide injunction is basically something that a federal judge can do, saying, I'm ordering the government that they cannot go forward with this plan of action, whether it's an executive action or something else. So injunctions have been um, really been in use since this administration. A lot of immigration attorneys and other groups have sued the government for, um, doing many things that are kind of beyond the scope of their authority, such as deporting people who have status or accidentally deporting people, mistakenly deporting people. And so federal judges had the authority to enjoin or to stop the government from taking these actions. With this Supreme Court decision, um, this court has basically said federal courts cannot do this anymore. So that leaves the whole question in the air about what's going to happen ultimately to the current administration's attempt to end birthright citizenship. And I haven't read the Supreme Court decision yet, but one of the takeaways is that the court said, well, if anyone has a problem with this attempt to end birthright citizenship, you can file an individual lawsuit and see where that goes. But, something like birthright citizenship, how would it look if one person in Texas sued and then another person in New York sued? And what if these two different courts ruled differently? So that means that there's just going to be mass confusion across the country as to whether or not birthright citizenship, is still a legal right or not. I mean, I just don't really understand like how this court came out with this type of ruling, and it's gonna for sure cause a lot of confusion and massive litigation. So that just happened. And I'm still trying to digest and figure out what is the long-lasting impact of this decision.